Hello, everybody. My name is Zojalyx, and welcome to the Lord of the Rings: The War in the North any percent new game. This game is awesome. I say that because I say one of because I've got the other two members here. The few guys who have taken the time to be able to speedrun and optimize this game. Joined with me are my wonderful commentators and co-op partners. Go ahead and introduce yourselves.
Hello, I'm Bloody Lifetime. With Zojalyx and Slade, we play this game and are the co-op world record holders, as well as Zojalyx here being our solo world record holder for the game.
Yep, hi, I'm the Spectacular Slade. I'm a longtime speedrunning partner of Zojalyx is here, also one of his good friends, and also basically any marathon he does, I'm usually commentary for him, so it's not a surprise I'm here.
That's very true. All right, so to kind of give you guys a little bit of a description of this game, it's an action RPG that came out around the same time as Skyrim. No, this is not Lord of the Rings Skyrim. I don't want to give you guys that false hope, but this game is still really, really good. We're gonna give a little bit of a description. Actually, we're gonna give character descriptions as we get into the run, because I don't want to be sitting on this screen forever, because I'm sure you guys all just want to get into the run. So we're going to be playing as Farin, the champion of Erebor. And are we ready to start the timer? I'm going to assume we're ready, because timing will begin when I start the game. Hit launch game here in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. So here we are, War in the North. Bloody, what are we going to be doing first?
All right, the first thing that we're going to be doing is a thing that we'll be doing consistently throughout the game. That is what is known as our shop glitch. So, we will be running over here to our shop, and one of the cool things that you do in this run is you use both a controller and your mouse and keyboard. So what you do is you come over here, you have a nice little chat, and you go to your sell items, and you hold your right trigger while both spamming your action key, which for most players is E on your keyboard, and your A button on your Xbox controller at the same time. And this makes it where you can repeatedly sell that item. And so you just you hit both the buttons as fast as you can to get enough gold so you can buy items and buy gear throughout the game. And we're going to be doing this a lot so that we can get the best gear possible in each of the different locations throughout the game, because there is some RNG and some prevalence of gear tuning and gear scaling throughout the game. So having that good gear will benefit us greatly.
Yep.
Here, Zojalyx is going to pick up a full armor set, since even having one less piece makes it where you burn through your health potions a lot faster than normal. And with that, we'll be go ahead and we'll be getting out of the first town and right into the action.
Yeah, so essentially, to give you guys a little bit of lore on this game, we are Farin, the champion of Erebor, and then our friends are Eridan and Andriel. They each represent the various classes. Farin is... I'm going to actually run down and grab this potion, because power potions are going to be a very big necessity, so I'm going to stack up on them while I can. So, essentially, Farin works as sort of like your melee tank character. But also has a really, really, really strong ranged weapon that doesn't get really unlocked to its max potential for a while yet. And we'll explain kind of what that is as we get closer to it. I am missing a bunch of shots thanks to this fence. Oh my goodness. Okay, got him. And then Eridan is your ranger or your single target DPS character, and then Andriel is your spellcaster or support. Or if you are speedrunning it, you do not build her in any way, shape, or form that would resemble a support. But that's perfectly fine, because we want to go fast and so it doesn't matter. However, since Eridan and Andrea are being controlled by the AI, we have zero control over what sort of abilities that they are going to be, that they grab. So we are just kind of at the hope and mercy that they build properly, but I think there's a determined build path that they go, because it seems that they get the same abilities around the same time every single time. Granted, I don't pay too much attention to what they build because the majority of the time I'm just trying to go fast myself and hope and pray that it works out. So a lot of this game is going to be going from mob fight to mob fight. This first mob fight, I actually have just recently come up with a single player placement that I sort of was watching a different run and was looking at the positioning and thought, hey, this is probably a good idea. So we're going to try it out. And it seemed to work out pretty good for me so far. What I'm doing is our priority targets are these little mini goblins. And so by standing up here on these stairs, it then forces the goblins to kind of funnel, making it a lot easier for us to kill them. And then we can actually control partially where our AI teammates are. So if we just tell them to defend, they're going to rush to our position, which will put them on top of the stairs here, and will then allow for these small goblins to continue to funnel up these stairs, and I can just sit here and continue to shoot them and not have to then worry about don't have to worry about hunting them down or anything like that, because they're all just going to be coming right towards me, either through this main staircase here, or they'll be on that other staircase where they will meet their doom from my party members. And then when there aren't any enemies, I just shoot some archers, because we don't actually know what quite triggers the end. We just know that it goes a lot faster if you focus more on the smaller goblins versus the archers all the time.
What creature could be those cries?
So now here, we're going to be saving our boy Belaram. Who wants to talk about Belaram?
What do you got this?
Alright, so Belaram is our new friend as we save him from being chained here. Belaram is a large great eagle that will assist us throughout the entire game. We become best buds, and we use him to kill better targets, and later in the game, since he does have... There is a item that we get called Great Feathers, and that we can use to bring in Belaram to assist us in fights. This is great, and we will be using that multiple times during this run.
You said it's great, and they're great feathers.
Yes.
You sounded so unimpressed.
Slade, take over for a moment.
So yeah, anyway, great feathers, we basically use them to take out a lot of the bigger enemies that are kind of harder for us to take out. So we kind of abuse Belaram, but at the same time, we don't. Yeah, that's all I'm gonna say about that.
We have to be really careful because, like Bloody said, it's an item that brings Belaram in. And, you know, RPGs. What does RPG mean? RPG means item drops. RPG also means RNG. So, that means that if we are just throwing out great feathers all the time, then, oh, you are teetering, you jerk. But
if we're using them, we won't have any later.
Yeah, exactly.
Also, one of the things that you would have seen during that fight is there is clusters of enemies that spawn in certain locations after a certain number of enemies are killed. As you can see, Zojalyx would run over to those piles and do the sword spin attack in order to hit multiple of them at a single time right as they spawn, in order to clear those a bit faster.
Yep.
The machines
I will. Good.
So one of the cool things about this run too is there are these mid-level shops that if you earn some money and stuff, you can get stuff. But we don't want stuff. We just want to refill our potions and arrows just so that way we have everything that we need to go into the next area. Which, because we shop glitch to get all of our armor and weapons and stuff super early on, we don't actually need to worry about getting any weapons or armor actually during the level. So, oh, that was unfortunate. I just did my spin and it didn't work out for me, but that's okay. So then just during those mid-level shops, we buy more health potions, more power potions, and some more crossbow bolts. So that way we've got everything that we need to be able to... So that way we can keep our resources high, because this whole run is about resource management. It's all about managing the power that you have, the arrows that you have, the potions that you have, the item durability, as well as it is about using, at least in the single player run, it is about utilizing, moving your AI companions to spots so that way enemies stay grouped together for when we get our big attack that will be super huge to have later on. And you'll kind of see what that is later on. So this is the Great Feather. That sorcerer is dead. We don't have to worry about him at all. And it's great, because sorcerers can be really annoying sometimes.
And the reason that sorcerers are annoying is because they put a shielded bubble around themselves, as well as have the ability to summon enemies. So they can be very tedious if you cannot take them out quickly in order to stop them from spawning enemies, or you are not able to shoot them with arrows because the bubble around them will actually prevent any of them from hitting them.
Yep. So I saw in chat somebody asked how much faster is co-op.
I was just about to bring that up.
So the single player world record is 2:14:00 by me, and the co-op world record is 1:56:32, I believe. So there is a significant difference in speed between co-op and single player.
That's only because you don't really have to manipulate the AI. The player just... At least I'm guessing. I don't know. I haven't ran this single player, so I have no idea.
To be exact, it's 1:56:51 for co-op.
51, okay. So yeah, 1:56:51. Yeah, and Slade, you were kind of right on that. You don't have to manipulate the AI at all. It's just, yelling at your teammates when they don't do what they're supposed to be doing.
Or me, in that instance.
And then a lot of it too is, since it's another player, they can do an optimal damage build versus doing a random build that the AI that the computer of the game pre-generates before being able to actually oh my gosh, before it pre-generates. Oh my gosh, stop bullying me. Okay. And this is where co-op becomes really nice, because even though I spam defend for my teammates to come help me, they don't always do it. Whereas in co-op, somebody would be back there to help the person who is shooting the crossbow, helping to make that go a lot smoother. Because once you get hit by specific enemies, you get knocked down. Also, yes, this is how you shoot a troll, by the way. You aim at the wall. So, trolls we fight a lot like Dark Souls combat. We just wail on them as much as we possibly can, and then we dodge roll. So that way we don't get hit. And one thing that you noted that I don't know if you were paying attention enough to notice, but there is a arrow that sometimes will show up on the up above a enemy That arrow, if we do a heavy attack when we hit that arrow, then we are in what is called hero mode. And essentially what that does is it increases the EXP that we get per kill, it increases the amount of damage that we do, as well as, I think there's one other effect, but I don't remember exactly what it is. Maybe you would know, Bloody.
All right.
Uh,
Follow us. Stay close to us.
I take that as a you don't know.
Crossbow.
my brain just blinked.
That's okay. That is perfectly fine. It do be like that sometimes.
But I believe hero mode is 1.5 times damage, if I remember correctly.
1.5 times damage. Okay, I knew that. Yeah. Which, like, isn't a lot, but in a 2-hour run, getting that 1.5 times damage, especially in these early areas, can mean the difference between, like, 5 hits and 4 hits. So, it does become nice. It does become a lot nicer when it kind of adds up. See, and in, like, New Game Plus, it doesn't even matter because you deck yourself out so much that you're doing, like, over 100,000 damage. So I'm just gonna make my party members a little bit more aggressive here. I forget how many fights are just, like, absolute slogs on New Game single player. I'm stuck. I am stuck on a teetering goblin. I'm sure that has happened before, I just don't remember it ever happening before. Okay. Bloody, talk about crossbows.
All right. So I am the main player that does crossbows for our co-op runs, so I will take it away. In the crossbow sections, we use a mixture of mouse and keyboard and controller. The reason for this is because your mouse will get you faster aim than we can on controller. It's one of the few areas where we use the mouse besides for shop glitching. It is meant so you have proper aim and so that you can actually hit your enemies and kill them. In these sections, usually waves of enemies are coming at you, and they have specific spawn locations that you can exploit. So the first wave spawns in the back there by the ruins, while the second wave spawns at the very end of those last pillars and along the walls. And this third wave that's now spawns a little bit from everywhere. And one of the nice things that you have when playing co-op is there's that pesky archer up to the top left of Zojalyx. He is constantly shooting at you. Sure, he only lands about 25% of his shots, but when he does, it typically knocks you back and makes it where you get pushed off the turret. So with that happening repeatedly, it can lose you a lot of time, especially when the turret is the main source of damage and killing the goblins for this section.
Yeah.
And now, on this rotation to the next area, we'll be introduced to sappers. See them with those exploding barrels on the back? Get too close and they will go kaboom.
And they deal a lot of damage too. Like, it's not just like, it's not like you get blown up and you're in pain and you just get knocked down and kind of cry a little bit. You get hit, you lose about half your health, and you cry a lot because you're terrified you might actually die. And I also got shot by the crossbow, so I'm gonna have to pop a health potion here while I'm dealing with this sorcerer. This guy before I pull the lever. Okay, he's teetering, so I can ignore him. So if we ever mention that a guy is teetering, that essentially what that means is we're hitting a guy where his health is at 0, but the game wants you to do an epic kill. The guy kind of like staggers around a little bit, holds his face up to his hand up to his face, and is like, "Oh my gosh, I'm dying." But we're just like, "Okay, stop it," and we just kind of ignore him and go and get ready to do our next thing, so that way we can do what we need to do and get as close to the next spot as we can without having to worry about, oh gosh, one of the sappers got by me. I'm okay. I should not be, but I am okay.
The gate is open.
So, yeah. A lot of this run is honestly really chill. Like, it's a lot of going from fight to fight to fight. So, if you guys have any, like, Lord of the Rings related questions in chat, go ahead and put them in. I'm a Lord of the Rings nerd. I'd love to be able to answer your questions. Or you can just listen to the three of us share random co-op stories. Or if you guys have any just, you know, questions about the run, feel free to ask. It's a very, very self-explanatory run. If somebody would be interested in wanting to try and see what kind of shenanigans you can come up with in this run, that'd be great. I'm terrible at glitch hunting, so I know I will not be finding anything of relevant use. Shop glitch was already a thing when I started running this game, so...
So our first question is, on a scale of 1 to 10, how much are dwarves for tossing?
What does that mean, though? Like, is that, like, pro dwarf tossing? Or is, like, the heaviness? Because, like, I've always been of the mindset of nobody tosses a dwarf.
Okay, well here's a different question. Where was Gondor when the Westfold fell?
In Gondor, duh.
The numbers are against us.
Of course you guys do, of course a Twitch chat does nothing but gives me memes. Like, I'm thinking like a deep heartfelt lore question, something like that.
Can one simply walk into Mordor?
No, but we can V-Sync launch into Mordor. I know Slade would find. I know Slade's gonna find that funny.
I'm already laughing from it, so yes!
That is a Lego Lord of the Rings reference for the speedrun of that. Check that out. The world record is by... How did Sauron carry the ring from Numenor if he had no body? The ring was forged in Mount Doom. It wasn't forged in Numenor. That is, so he didn't have to carry it from Numenor. And also... Oh, sorry, go ahead. No, you're good.
So in this game, as you've noticed, it is a hack and slash RPG. So you're going to see a lot of just combat throughout this game, and that is going to be the center focus of it all. The idea is just kill them, get rid of them as fast as possible. And sometimes it can be a bit difficult, like up here in this crossbow section that is about to come up, since some of them like to have a little surprise during it.
I'm trying to think of what surprise you're exactly talking about.
Well, you see, when he shoots the archers up on top, they like to have a habit of falling down behind the walls to where you cannot shoot them.
Oh,
So-
yeah, that surprise.
So you can hit a archer direct on to where you think they would have died. However, you can still see that they're actually still up there. And it can be frustrating because the game will not let you move to the next wave until every single last one of them has been defeated for the wave. So if any late spawn or any fall down and having issues to where you can't get to them, you just have to wait for them to get back up. And it can be really annoying. So Zojalyx here is having the frontal waves coming after him. The left and right sides are goblins coming down with archers up top, while the middle wave is stronger orc-style goblins and sappers.
Oh gosh, now Twitch chat is coming after me with like really hard questions that I don't know
Yeah,
the
I know.
answer to.
I know, I'm like, I don't even know if Zoj knows half of these.
But as you can see, the archers can shoot them off the turret, and also enemies will get behind you and hit you off the turret as well, which is one of the perks to having co-op when we do it, is because 2 people can be watching your back while 1 person's on the turret. But in solo, you have the issue of constantly getting smacked in the butt.
And then you have that happening too, where the enemies just sit in front of the crossbow and they're like, yeah, we're comfy. Is there another wave or am I done? I'm so confused.
Look down.
What is happening? Wait, what?
Ah, there's one of the archers up top!
Oh my, I've never had that.
Oh, I forgot I had that in one of my solo runs when we first started running this.
I've never had it where it just sat behind the pillar like that before.
It's because you knocked him down, and when he got back up, he doesn't fully get back into position.
I don't even know when I knocked him down. Die.
Okay, Zoj, I see this question in here, and I think it's a valid one that you might be able to answer. So, by book lore here, would Gandalf have been able to defeat the Witch King?
Well fought, friends. We will open this gate.
I think it's possible, yes. I was looting and now I'm way back here.
Good fortune.
So, that's a good question. I should probably actually talk about the combat tree. So, there are quite a few we're essentially building, there's 3 tiers, trees that you can upgrade. There's one that is specific for an ability called War Cry, which is like a global party buff that we use a lot more in co-op than we do in single player, even though we probably should use it more in single player. But the tree that I am specifically upgrading is one that builds me up to a skill called Explosive Shot, which is that one that we were talking about. And essentially what, like, all of the other skills that we've been getting don't, like, they matter, but not really too much. Like, the first skill that we got was that spin attack that we've been using a lot of. Another skill that we got increased my damage with two-handed weapons, because that's the only kind of weapon that we are going to be using in this run, are two-handed. We will not be using any one-handed weapons unless we get extraordinarily unlucky, which I will not say has not happened before, because it has happened multiple times. Ow.
Bring down the fire barrels first.
So, while he dodges the sappers real fast, we'll go into what is going on here. So there's a sapper horde that is coming down from over this wall. Well, we found that the best way to fight them is to play a game of chicken with them. So we run up and we'll get in their face so that they'll explode before rolling away. It will take out multiple of the normal goblins around them, as well as other sappers, and has been the fastest way we've found to properly clear these quickly. Also, one of the things that Zojalyx was saying about the skill trees is, so the very first one, as he said, you get upgraded to your two-handed weapons. Well, on that second tier, you have the option of 3 different abilities. One is based on if you have a longsword. The other is based on if you have maces and axes and stuff like that. So each one is a different additive ability onto your spin attack. One of them is a heavy swing around you before coming down with a very heavy attack that will break through enemies that are blocking and knock them down, while the other one for the swords is you just keep spinning. And then there's the ability in the middle of that tree, which is one that we take in the co-op that I really like, and it's passive health regeneration. It will keep you alive, but you're not using as many health pots throughout the run. So our first 2 tiers, because you have to upgrade 3 skill abilities before you can go to the next tier. So you get your spin to win, you get your 2-handed weapon damage. There's only 2 points that you can put into the passive health regeneration, and based on whether you got a sword or a mace early on in the game, you will then choose which of the 2 abilities to take.
And since we're bringing up the Third Age in chat, that will forever be the biggest thing that bugs me about that game. Like, the game was so good, and then they're like, oh, what's a great way to end the game? Yeah, while Frodo's destroying the ring, we're gonna send the main party to go fight the Eye of Sauron. Because, you know, that makes sense. So it should be one more wave before the troll comes.
There are yet more of them.
Protect the elf. Revive this scumbag.
Feel my wrath and despair.
Oh, I got this glitch. So I've gotten this wonderful glitch that happens where my controller will non-stop vibrate. So the moment I like finish that section with the sappers, my controller has been constantly vibrating.
A troll, be careful.
Also, there's going to be multiple sections where we have to protect Eladin and Elro here. If they ever were to get attacked in such a way where their health bar becomes 0, we will fail the area and have to reset to our last save point.
Yeah, it essentially works as if you were to die early on, like die during the level or something.
Here we must.
Will you depart?
And most of them are easy, but there is going to be one later in the run that can be a little challenging if you aren't quick at aiming.
We've
Yep.
reached the Citadel.
So we're going into our first major boss fight. Our boy, we're going to be fighting a orc chieftain named Tharzog. Yeah. I don't know who wants to talk about it, because I kind of focus during Tharzog. That and I talk a lot, so...
The big one is Tharzog. A chief
So
in the
Tharzog is basically just a giant creature that we have to fight. Basically, everybody else just
that's
kind of
unfortunate.
shooting
Ow.
arrows, while Zoj is just going to be there hitting, kind of treating him the same way as a troll, but beforehand, before he jumps down, we're actually able to get a couple shots off before we're technically supposed to, because the game is just like, hey, you know what, here's a free shot, there you go. So we take advantage of that, and then we just kind of swing away until we can damage him all. And then eventually the rest of his posse comes out, and so that kind of distracts from the AI, to not help him anymore. But as soon as we take him out, then we just, everybody else is just really, really easy. So,
That's one orc chief, the last.
that's pretty much the Tharzog fight. You pretty much treat him like a troll.
And one of the things with the Tharzog fight is we've managed to do this a couple times in co-op, but once he drops down, you will see that he yells, and there's now a red aura around all of the other enemies in that fight. he is giving them a health buff and a damage buff, making them take longer to kill, and making it where if they can get a hold of you, they will do a lot more damage. It makes it where, as a speedrunner, we don't want this. We lose time when they have more health.
Yep. And so we try to do what we can to make sure that we can mitigate that, which in any percent on solo, don't think I've ever been able to skip the buff because you just don't do enough damage.
They were to follow the downs are just. Then we'll make our way.
So that's the first area completed. That's Fornost. And so how this game works is every area gets kind of divided. It has a hub world, which was Bree in that first area where we talked to Aragorn, and then this area's hub world is Sarnford. Okay, I'm getting really good armor, and it's making me really nervous for the weapons. Nice, we got the mace.
So, as Zoja said, he got the mace. So, in Sarnforge, there is a particular mace that Thorin always wants. It is a mace that does additional fire damage on top of everything else, and is very good versus the ghouls and gas and creatures that we're going to be fighting in the next area. And so, it is the highest damage output item that we can get, and with that additional effect, it can also stagger enemies, making it the best possible outcome that Zojalyx could have gotten here.
Yep. So yeah, we got a really good crossbow. We got our fire mace, which sets us up really well going into the Barrow Downs. The Barrow Downs is, yeah, it's the spooky level. So you can see there's thunder and dark skies, so it's spooky, right?
Yep.
These hills have an evil reputation.
Makes sense to me.
I'm terrified.
You should be. Because this is actually a spot that a lot of runs can actually really fall apart. And it's one of those things where the run will fall apart, and you don't even realize that it's fallen apart until you've lost about a minute of time, and then you're like, oh, that just happened. So these are the ghouls, or Yas Queens, as we have called them as our co-op team. We can ignore this first group. Our focus in this first fight is going to be purely these trolls. Try and get a lot of shots off to get some quick damage. Oh, and I got a glitch where my crossbow does fire damage. I love that glitch. I clutched out that dodge roll, so good.
Yeah, which that glitch is if you roll while having your mace out and fire a shot very quickly with your bow, it will add the added effect of your melee weapon in hand.
Yep. So now we just gotta drop these two trolls. Well, we just finished fighting these two trolls. Now we just gotta take out these guys, and then there's always 2 late spawners. Or 3 late spawners, I guess. There is nothing you can do about getting them to spawn in earlier. But then once they're good, you can proceed and keep going. And these guys, we don't have to worry about them at all. So, I already forgot what I was talking about. Oh yeah, what the Barrow Downs? What are we doing? So we talked about these 3 being a party that was going to be fighting against an enemy called Agendour. Did I mention that already or no? Okay. So yeah, our party of 3 here, Farin, Aradan, and Andriel, were recruited by Aragorn to fight a lieutenant of Sauron named Agendour. He is essentially one of Sauron's right-hand men, and we were told to go to Fornost to distract the army, so that way they wouldn't be hunting for Frodo, and Frodo could make it to Rivendell safely. Well, for us, we are on our way to Rivendell then, after decimating the entire army at Fornost by only just being 3 people. By decimating that army at Fornost and then moving, making our way to Rivendell to essentially get our next set of instructions, we stop into Sarmford, which is Eridan's ranger home, and his captain, whatever, asks the party to go to the Barrow Downs and look for 2 rangers named Lewin and Kilarin who have gone missing. And so we are now looking for them, and in the process, we have encountered these beautiful Barrow Wights. They're big spooky. They spawn in other enemies, they try to throw rocks at us, but if we just keep shooting at them, then they never throw rocks at us. I just need to make sure you have to kind of be quick with it.
And also with a lot of the enemies that spawn in their boss-like enemies, as you'll notice, there's a few spots before they fully spawn that you see a little red crosshair pop up on Zojalyx's screen. That is a spot where he can shoot them prior to them fully coming into the screen, so he can get a few extra shots with his bow and save himself a little bit of time.
Yeah, this is the fight, this mob fight that we're going to be doing here. This is the one where you'll lose a minute of time and not even realize that you've lost a minute of time, because there are a lot of enemies that are going to be spawning, and they can be really obnoxious, especially with these sort of armored ghouls, because if they don't die quickly, then they start glowing. And they start, like this guy here, they get a lot more health, they do a lot more damage, and they become a lot more annoying. So, whenever one goes green, I always try to prioritize him, so that way he's dead, and then I don't have to worry about other ones. Okay, so I took out those, that should be the end of that group, that's good. And then the next mob is right here. They don't start spawning until you actually have taken out a good majority of the first mob. So you do have to be pretty quick with it.
Also, the biggest perk of having this fire mace, as you see, is the guys with the shield. Whenever you swing a heavy attack at them, it will stagger them and open them up to your other attacks to where you can keep swinging. While if you do not have the fire mace, it will not stagger them, and they will sit there and just keep swinging at you, making it where they can kill you just as fast as you can kill them. It is really tedious to deal with them due to that, because it also means that you're taking more time just to hit them, where instead of being able to heavy swing and have them get staggered and you can start hitting them with fast light attacks, you're constantly having to hit them with heavy attacks in order to get past their shields.
Mm-hmm. It also is nice too, because the more that you are damaging these ghouls, the more it delays their time before they go green. And so if we can delay that more and more and more, even if we aren't necessarily killing them, it does kind of help with some like crowd control aspects where we don't have to then worry about them being big annoyances. So yeah, we're at the second Barrow Wight fight. It's essentially the same thing as the first one. Because, you know, we've already fought one. Let's do the same thing. There are a total of 3 Barrow Wights that we fight, and then there is the Barrow Wight Lord, is the final boss of this area. And one thing that we haven't actually mentioned, headshots matter. Like, I'm not just trying to hit him in the head to be cool. They actually do make an effect on how much damage that you do to a boss.
And it's not even just bosses, it's also to all enemies in the game. There's a reason that the other character, Eridan, actually has an ability that gives all allies in your party additional headshot damage.
Yep.
And so him aiming for the head is very important in a lot of the mini bosses, or even just the normal enemies, because and for a lot of them 1 or 2 headshots can kill for the small enemies, while it could take 3 to 4 to the body, so it will also save you time as long as you are hitting them.
Mm-hmm. And to answer your question, Smelly McTroll, no, this game is not about Angmar. There should be a game about Angmar. That would be amazing.
So right now Zojalyx is running off to the left into this little dungeon area and grabbing a key to the tomb that is locked away in a chest. And it is the only way to get through these nice, lovely gates to get further into this catacomb.
Yep.
Usually in co-op, me and Slade just sit outside in front of the door, playing with the fun echo that is in the game for this area.
That's great.
Yeah, so one of the things with the co-op in this game is there really is no easy way to disable the in-game voice chat. It's the weirdest thing. And when you're in a cave, the game knows that you're in a cave, and it will echo your voice.
Which makes for some of the most hilarious clips ever.
Because sometimes, too, the voice doesn't always go through right away. So it could be like a solid 5 or 6 seconds after we hear the person in Discord before they go through in the game, which then creates that delay.
Especially when you just do a short shriek, and then 5 seconds later you just hear it again. Echo. It's really funny.
It is very entertaining. In case you couldn't tell, we are children.
Yep.
Should be the last. Nope, there's more up here. Nice, I got some late spawners. One singular Yas Queen, of course.
And from there we'll enter our third and final Barrow White for this area, and we are going to continue to repeatedly shoot him in the head. And also, one thing that we have not pointed out and might have been evident of, how do we know when he's going to the next phase and going to move? Well, if you look at the damage numbers, he's consistently hitting for 300, and when he gets headshots it's close to 400. Well, if you watch closely, right there, it'll be 118. It means that we've done the max damage for that phase, and that he's going to move. So it's going to be, 200, 100. It's going to be a damage number that is less than all the rest. And even if we don't notice that, if we go to shoot him again, it's going to not do anything. We're not even going to get a damage number. So you can know immediately, or you can potentially waste one additional arrow and know 100% for sure.
Yep. And now we have hit level 9. And now that we are level 9, we have access to our explosive shot, which unlocks the amount of damage that we are going to be able to do in this run. Because now we've gone from having our spin attack as our primary source of AoE that does a little bit of damage based on our strength, to now we have an explosive arrow. An explosive arrow does a lot of damage.
To summarize, this is where the fun begins.
That was like sacrilegious, making a Star Wars reference during my Lord of the Rings run.
Yeah, I know. I've done that a couple times and I get yelled at every time I do it. That's why I didn't do it this time.
But the fact that you said that you didn't do it means that you thought about it.
Oh, I thought it, yes, but I didn't say it. There is a difference. I didn't think about saying it, I just thought it.
But as you can see, Explosive Arrow allows us to take out multiple groups of enemies in basically one shot. Which makes it where you really just, you know, you do the one shot, a bunch of enemies die, and then you're happy. And this is also where, like, I talked about power potions and wanting to stack up the power potions. Wow, that was a horribly mistimed explosive shot, but it's fine. Because, as you can see, the explosive shot eats through our mana. Just, like, absolutely destroys it. So, with the power potions, we're going to be popping them a lot more often now to be able to make sure that we have the mana that we need to be able to keep popping our explosive shot. Okay, that wasn't the attack that I was anticipating, but that's fine. So this is our other ranger friend, by the way, who we're beating the snot out of. For the Barrow White Lord, he's always locked to 3 phases. You cannot do it in 1 phase, even in New Game Plus. Which is really kind of sad, because it would be really nice to be able to just, like, one-shot him. But the game's like, nope, sorry, you don't get to do that. Which, like, I guess is understandable, but it's also like, come on.
Also, you might be wondering why Zojalyx decided to hide behind the pillar for a few seconds, not doing anything. That is because while it's transitioning between the phases, there's 3 of them. There's the wave, there's the ranger coming out that is being corrupted by the Barrow White Lord, and there's the final phase where he goes back and the Barrow White Lord is sending out waves of energy at you and the area around you. And when it does this, it will hit all of the area, and the only spot where you will not take damage and not get yeeted and launched to the ground, just like that, is behind the pillars. And so they are our safety net.
I have always thought that, and I could be wrong, but I always felt like that the Barrow White Lord's wind attack was inspired from Return of the King of the Dead. I don't even know if you've thought about that, Slade, but if you think about it...
I haven't,
Yeah,
but now that you mention it, it makes so much sense.
Wait, so you're telling me the Return of the King runner hadn't thought of this, but me, who played it casually as a kid, did?
Yep.
Yeah, but Slade doesn't think that often, so...
That's also fair.
And that's the end of the Barrow White fight. We have to wait for the White Lord to totally, like, dissipate, and then we can just... Yep, it's still going. Hi, buddy.
I'm sorry.
And now we can exit the Barrow Downs. I can unplug and plug my controller back in again, so that way I don't have to sit here and deal with it constantly vibrating. Because that's the only way to fix that constantly vibrating glitch. So I think it's something just with my controller.
Happy to have been. Glad to hear that. You have. He's quite right.
Do you...
It's a mighty.
There is no...
Alright, I had to take a moment because I was laughing too hard.
What about us?
Anyway.
Very well.
Yes. We are now in Rivendell.
If it is true,
Aragorn and Gandalf are telling us more things that we get to go do. Yay!
hospitality.
But while we're here, we're gonna go do what we'd like to do. Shop glitch. We are going to go...
Infinite monies.
Yes, we are going to sell up to above 25,000. We are going to get some big bank and have tons of money for pretty much the rest of the run.
Oh, I go all the way up to 50 on this one.
as I said, for the rest of the run. And one of the main items that we are looking for here is a very strong crossbow. And the best item that we can get, sword and wise, is a lightning sword that sits about 200 some odd damage. That does increase 1.4 times damage to trolls. Unfortunately, Zojalyx did not get that, but it did look like he got a decent bow.
Yep, I did get a good bow. I just will not be able to use it until level 10.
Which, unfortunately, with Rivendell, a lot of times the good bow or crossbow that you'll get will be level restricted. So it will either be a level 10 or level 11 requirement for that bow. You can sometimes get a good one for level 9, but you know it's going to be weaker because of the lower level that you're able to use it. However, it will still be stronger than the bow you have. So if you're really lucky, you'll get a good bow for your level and one that you can upgrade to in a few levels.
Yep. Yes, this is the Ettenmoors. This is the region where all runs go to die.
Yep.
Yes.
Specifically on this, not this first fight. This first fight can go pretty bad, but it does come out to be primarily the second fight, the second section of this first area of the Ettenmoors that can be quite a pain. And the reason for that, oh, this is scary. Okay, we're fine. We aren't going to talk about that awkward hit there.
Also,
or lack thereof.
The enemy he just fought, we like to call Tharzog wannabes, because they remind us of our good friend Tharzog that we got to fight back in Fornost, but they aren't quite as annoying as they once were. But
Nope.
as Zojalyx was going to say, I'm going to let him focus on the game for a moment, was that there is a spot up ahead where it is where all runs go to die. Due to the fact of you have multiple enemies that are not required spawning in behind you, and that will dive into the area where you're at, and you only have a select number of enemies you really need to take care of. Mm-hmm. And they are in this circle area, much like this one, and you have to discern which ones are which when they all clump together.
Yeah.
And in that problem, you also have an additional troll that will be joining the fray from the group of enemies that do not matter one bit. The only way to tell them apart is if any of them got buffed by the Tharzog wannabe that will be near them and have a red outline on them from getting that health buff. However, yes, this helps us know which ones are which. At that point, there's going to be 20 plus enemies all grouped around you trying to beat you over the head with their clubs.
So
Yep.
we solve for that problem in the co-op thing by just having me be the one that group tries to attack, basically farther back. So I have the job of freaking kind of occupying everybody else while Bloody and Zodes deal with all the enemies that actually matter. That way we are not overrun
No.
and can
This held them
actually,
on.
progress.
An enemy of your age
And I
would
actually
be
do have a slight fix for this in single player that I don't actually know if it works or not, but my runs seem to be more consistent after doing it. So, I'm gonna do it. So what I'm gonna do is when I get to the main area where the fight matters, I'm literally gonna quit out and reload. Because then what happens is all of these enemies that have been following us forever, they don't really care as much because they're spawned back. They still will have to chase us, and they will be aggroed onto us, but their aggro is way back at their original spawn point, not right here next to me where they would normally be. So once I hit this checkpoint, I can quit out and then go right back in. Also, to answer the question, this game actually takes place during the movie trilogy. We are just not interacting with any of the Lord of the Rings characters. Like, we're not interacting with any of the main events.
Yeah, so the entire trilogy happens just during this game, but we are not messing with anything going on in the actual trilogy.
Strike you down.
But in co-op, at this point, we would have Slade sitting back up off that ridge that we just came over to occupy all the enemies behind us. But with Zojalyx quitting out and resetting them back to their original positions, it gives him more time to take out these enemies here in the solo gameplay.
I need healing.
Makes it just a little more consistent, which, like, is it a little bit slightly optimal? Yes, but I would take consistency in a 2-hour run over what is... Oh, that is not good. Aerodan just went down. Okay. And I think Andriel is grappling with the troll. So, this is where chaos ensues.
So now, since what he chose to do was set Aridin and Andriel up over that ridge to defend, that way they would distract the enemies that would be coming down after him. Well, with them going down, they have opened up the floodgate. That's a boulder.
Yep.
It's not just a boulder, it's a rock.
I'm now on a very, very, very tight window to get this troll killed and get through the door. Come on, come on. Just stop teetering. Just stop. Cool. We made it through. We're good.
So the reason he said a very tight window to get through is because if you do not heal your AI companions, they will bleed out and die, and it will fail the mission. Which
typically means a dead run.
And so Zojalyx did not have much time left whenever he managed to get through that load zone. Luckily, whenever you move through any load zones, they will immediately be back up at full health and able to follow you again.
Mm-hmm.
And with co-op as well, as just like in this, if a player dies, then it's a reset.
Yep. So I just asked, saw in chat where you can buy this game. This game, unfortunately, is no longer available on Steam. It is really, really upsetting. So the only way to buy this game, as far as we have found, is on, like, we bought GameStop codes.
So yeah, so I'm actually the one that I believe found this. I had to search a good bit because, like, the only way that I saw, like, actively was through websites that want to charge you $50 or more for the game, which is absurd considering how old this game is. However, for people that are in USA, unfortunately, it's not available for people in EU. If you go through GameStop, this used to be on their online store and was purchasable where they would send you a code for the game for Steam. Because, unfortunately, the game is no longer on Steam. The only other way to play this game, however, this way you would not be able to play co-op with friends, because the servers don't exist anymore, would be to buy the game for Xbox 360, since it is available for that. However, it does run slower, load zones are slower, and does not have the servers to back up it anymore, meaning that you are limited to solo. However, for players that are in USA, it's about $20 for buying it through GameStop, and that's the only way that I've found to purchase this game at a reasonable price.
You can do local co-op on Xbox, but you are limited to only 2 players.
Yes.
Which it is still very possible to get a good time with only 2 players. So to give you guys kind of a little bit of backstory on the lore of this game, in terms of its speedrunning history, I played this game a lot as a kid and had done 2 very, very jank solo runs. Like, they were like 2:45, and then I think my other one was like a 2:30 something. And then I think you might have been the one to message me about it first, right, Bloody?
Which part?
About running this game co-op?
Yes. I reached out to you about it.
Yeah, and at the time, the world record was 2:18 something. It's currently what is now like the 3rd place time on the board. Maybe it's 4th now. But anyway, Bloody reached out to me about wanting to run this co-op since the only other games that we had in common was Shadow of Mordor and Lord of the Rings: Two Towers. And so I decided, okay, this could actually be super fun. So we did it, and our first run was like a 2:20 something. And then our second run was a 2:16. We realized very quickly as to how much potential this, as to how much potential this game had for its records to go down. And we got our 2-player time down to a 2:09.
Hey, 2:09:36.
Yep, and then, but before we got our 2:09, our good friend Slade joined us as the 3rd person. I convinced him to join us, which it really wasn't that hard. I just said, hey, buddy, you're doing this, and he said, LOL, okay.
As per usual on anything we do, it's usually one of us saying, hey, let's do this, and the other one just goes, okay.
Yep. And so then we started running this game. We got the 3-player time down to like a 2:14 something. Had one of the most amazing comebacks ever.
Oh, it was great, and we'll explain that when we get to that part in the run.
Yep. And then Bloody and I decided in like fall of 21, I think, we were like, hey, let's do a solo race. And it was a really, really, really close race, actually, for how a race in this game could go. And it ended up with Bloody beating what was the solo world record by almost 10 minutes, myself being about a minute behind due to a soft lock that I got, because if I didn't go for it, I only have 1 feather. This is very unfortunate. Whereas if I didn't go for it, then I would have lost the race. So it was one of those things where I'm like, do I go for it and risk the soft lock to win, or do I not go for it and lose? And I went for it.
Don't get too much into detail on that. That way Slade can have the
I won't go too much into detail.
chance to explain that later, since he is the one that discovered it.
But yeah, and it's only I that can do it somehow, but I'll get to that later.
Yeah, we'll get to that later. It'll be like an hour from now. So feel free to forget anything and everything that we talked about with it. But anyway, back to the history of the game. One of the biggest issues that we had while running this game co-op was when we would hit Rivendell right after the Barrow Downs, which is that hub world that we were just in before coming here. Slade would always disconnect. Like, he wouldn't be able to reconnect, and it wouldn't just be like he's gonna disconnect and he's not gonna be back for a little, and he's just gonna reconnect and be fine. It was like his disconnect was so bad that we would have to all quit out and recreate the lobby, and it always cost us like a minute worth of time, if not even more than that.
So
It got to the point where we were like,
minimum
hey,
5
maybe I won't
minutes.
desync as a joke.
It was minimum 5 minutes per. Due to also the fact that it made where Slade was not able to buy items from the shops, so he missed one of the large mid-game power spikes that really benefited in something that we really needed.
Yep. Also, I almost just got one shot by Bargasar, but it's fine.
Man just punched you like you're an ant.
So, yeah, Bargasar, that's a really annoying fight to do when you don't have feathers.
It would appear. Not I, Lord.
That's one of the main
same-
fights we use
Indeed.
feathers in, just because
We're glad.
it's scary when you don't have them.
You also
Yeah, so the
Bellerophon
strat
has
for
researched my
is to
people
just keep
that will
spamming the
protect.
feathers
I will arrange
and use as
my
many as you
lord.
can until he dies.
You ask
Mhm.
very
It
well.
But
does
I only have
about
one.
a quarter of his HP
So,
per
Armadillo,
feather.
now
So
you've been
typically you want to have 4 stockpiled in solo, and co-op. Luckily, they're spread out among each person, so you can actually because the cooldown is actually longer than the action of
we found,
Bellerom helping you.
but with the help of
So
That was well.
one of the great things about
some of them.
compared
Then
co-op compared to
maybe
solo
it may
is that in
well be.
co-op each
Not
person
in
can
our-
continually
perhaps not.
use it
To
much
walk
faster
into
than the
it,
cooldown will
that
come off.
rascal.
We could
Your
each
courage
use one ourselves, and the first person will still be on cooldown.
Yep.
Which
So, back to the stories of the game. Well, sorry, were you still talking on this matter?
Those who
yes, I was gonna say which even with the long cooldown for fighting Barbasar for solo, it is still faster than just beating him senseless with your weapons.
Oh, geez, like all of my armor is about to break. So, I'm gonna...
Well, while you look for items, I'll actually explain that. So, over the course of the game, you have your weapons deteriorate and break down. It's not typically something that we have to worry about often. However, it can become a problem when you get near the later stages of the game, and all of a sudden, hey, my bow is doing half damage as it should because it's broken, because it has no durability left. So, it's something that you have to keep track of during the game, because you will essentially have no armor in that place. So, hey, your breastplate gives you, 30, 40 armor. Well, now it's not giving you any. And
we can
your
head
weapons
down to this team
doing
and
decreased
reserve
damage
eagle
can
flights. We may appear
very
to be
much
just a
cause
few
problems,
wolves
especially in the
running
later
around
stages of
Gundabad.
this game.
Yeah. So, anyways, we had all those disconnect issues, and we had gotten our time down to like a 206.34, I think was what it was, something like that. It was a mid 206, I know that for sure. And we were talking about the potential of sub 2 hours. We were like, okay, we know that this is possible because I think our sum of best at the time was like a 157. So we had 10 minutes to save in the run. But you can't save those 10 minutes if one of your characters cannot hit their mid-game power spike. And so we struggled for a long time to decide whether or not we actually wanted to go for it, because we never had a run where there wasn't a disconnect of some point at a really crucial point in time that would cause the
They seem to be searching for something.
essentially any hope of any really big time save to die. And so we had decided, we literally just put the game down for a while, and we're just like, we're done trying to fight this. And then I did some testing, and at some point, because I decided I was just kind of curious to try and figure out what these issues were. If they were an issue with the game servers, if they were... But then I was like, I don't know if it's going to be the game servers, because it was only happening to Slade.
And for some reason, it would only kick me out at Rivendell. Even if I got back in, the second time we go back to Rivendell, it would kick me out again.
Yeah, it only would kick him out at Rivendell, and in rare situations would kick him out at Gundabad as well. Which, Gundabad is one of the longest levels in the game, and kicking him out in Rivendell either the first or second time, and missing such a large power spike for some of the longer sections, and then on top of that, sometimes kicking him from the longest section and making it where he could not rejoin, going from 3 players that are optimized to only 2 vastly decreases how much damage output you're going to have and increases your time substantially.
Yep. And so I did some testing after I got my official PC tower and was no longer running on my laptop. I had actually had Slade log into his account on Steam. We created a lobby and we just went into Rivendell. It was like what we decided we were going to be doing. We were going to say we don't really care about anything else. We're just going to go get to Rivendell as quickly as possible. And we got to Rivendell. Oh, I can go now. Nice. We got to Rivendell and it loaded. There was no disconnect, nothing. And so then we went through the Entenmoors and we're like, okay, cool. That didn't disconnect. Let's go through the Entenmoors and see what happens. We went through the Entenmoors, got to Rivendell again, and there was no disconnect. So that's when we realized the issue wasn't the servers, the issue wasn't anybody's internet connection, it was the sole fact that Slade was on a potato computer.
Yep, it was trash.
And so once Slade upgraded his PC, we did some more testing immediately the moment Slade got his computer. Like, I'm pretty sure it was like the day he got it, or like within a couple of days. It was really early on.
It was the day after he got it.
Yeah,
it was day after.
Tested it again. We tested it again. Again, no issues loading into Rivendell, no issues loading into Gundabad. So then we knew that the hunt for the sub 2 was back on.
Yep, and then very next run I desync.
So the very next run, unfortunately gets ahead of himself a little bit. We were on extremely good pace, better pace than we had ever been on before. One of the best paces that we had ever had. And we get here to Gundabad. You know, both Rivendells were great. We get to Gundabad, and Slade doesn't DC. So all is going well. We're like, okay, we're gonna do this. We get through Gundabad. We're off to the races until we finish Nordenbad. And Zojalyx clicks the wrong button. So, and sends us back to Gundabad. So the thing about this game is you may think, oh, okay, well you just traveled to the wrong area, you can just travel out. Unfortunately not. So, in any area you cannot travel back to any of the hub worlds without getting to one of the checkpoints, without getting to one of the save spots. So, back across that bridge that Zojalyx just crossed over, up at that little shop that he just went to get items, that's the first save point in this area. We had to go back and run through here, which cost us roughly 5 minutes in order to get out of this area and continue the rest of the run. And if I remember correctly, we ended the run with a 2-hour, 4-minute, and some odd mark.
Yeah, which was still a PB for us.
It was still a world record.
Yeah, so during the time that the game was put down for Slade's computer, 2 French runners actually came. It was the New Game Plus world record holders decided to do a new game run, and they went and actually took the record in new game, which cool, great. We have some competition. But obviously with the DCs, we were like, yeah, we just didn't want to do it. But we get this issue, we get through all of those areas, we have me making that big dumb mistake, and we PB by 2 minutes. And then our very next run, we've got
Well,
a 204.
I'm gonna interrupt you, Zoj, because we are missing out on one very crucial detail. So, with these French runners actually brought new light to the game in general. So one of the things that had been going on is, due to our own knowledge of the game, we had been playing one of the 3 characters wrong, which was Andriel, the character that Slade runs. We had not been building her correctly, and her playstyle was off. And so when the French runners actually bopped our time and took world record, we looked at them, and we had always thought that, we know Andriel is the queen of New Game Plus. However, when we went back and looked at and saw how they were playing her, she outperformed Aridin in every way. So, and she runs in such a way to where you fire your shots rapidly and quickly use your potions again, which, Slade, would you quickly explain the proper way to fire those shots since you play her?
Yeah, so throughout all of this, you've seen that, what's the dwarf's name again?
Farin.
Farin. Yeah, you see that Farin only uses potions whenever he fires his explosive shot. That is not the case for Andriel. Basically, she's using magic shots pretty much the entire time from her staff, and every shot that you take takes a little bit more of your mana. So she's not using arrows or bolts like the other 2 are. We're just using straight mana shots. So every shot you take drains a little bit more of your mana. So Andriel should be using more mana potions than basically anybody else in the entire game. Or, as Zoj puts it, should always be worried about running out. Pretty much. Always be worried if you have enough. Because that is the most powerful attack that she has. Just swinging the staff and hitting, yeah, that'll do some. But a lot more powerful shots are being made from the staff shots. So we utilize that a lot more. I'm done.
All right.
Yeah.
And to go back into it, yes, we were able to improve the time because so quickly, even though it took us, one run to de-rust and to really see the difference before we were able to get that 204. And the difference it made just in that was a multi-minute difference. Having Slade and Andriel being able to do a ton more damage than she was. And these French players with their 2-person world record, with one player, short of having a full team, had gotten world record and shown us a better way to play the game. And so with that, we were able to improve and get that 204. And then, Zoj, as you were about to say, from there.
Yeah, so we got the 204, and then we went in our next run back. I didn't make that mistake. We had really good weapons. We had great understandings of our characters. And at the very end of it, we ended up with our sub 2-hour time. The first ever sub 2-hour time to be on the leaderboard, which was something that we always knew was possible. And when we finally hit it, it just, oh my gosh, it felt so good. And once we realized that, we still are even we know that we can even bring that time down more. I think we could it would be hard, and we don't know if it's quite possible yet, but sub 150 might be on the cards.
So, due to our sum of best, sub 150 is possible, but due to the RNG in this game, it's not, as of right now, I don't believe it is humanly possible, unless we have a perfect run.
Yeah.
But for here, we're going to turn things over to the Spectacular Slade to discuss this area.
So basically, we're just kind of running around at this point, trying to get to a trying to find other dwarves within this little kind of castle, whatever. So we're just kind of running around, taking some different little rolling flips here, but we're going to be doing something that I actually discovered in this, only because I said, screw it, let's try it, because Zoj and Bloody both said it wasn't possible. So me being the person that I am, so what Zoj just did right there is not technically the roll that it's called, not the salad roll as we have dubbed it, but it'll be coming up here very soon, and it'll be very, very similar, where we just kind of roll off the edge to negate fall damage, and it's this one right here. They both told me that you were not able to roll off of that, and so I'm just like, screw it, let's try it, and I was behind them at this point. I said, screw it, let's try it, and ended up getting in front of them, or like very up close up with them. So then I'm like, hey, I just did that, let's see if we can all do it. And so we all did it, and now we have incorporated it into the run to save just a couple more seconds.
Yeah, which I will come back to that, one of the things here in a minute. But here we do what I like to call is quick bridge. You wait till all of the little goblins group up right there before making sure to fire that explosive shot, killing as many as you can to get a quick troll spawn. Now, I will circle back to the salad roll, and one of the things that we hadn't discussed but had been happening throughout the run is when you go over a little lip or a little edge, when you go across it and drop down, you will stagger and get stunned in place for a moment. Well, that's slow. Well, if you roll off the edge, you can negate that stun and actually continue moving. So, in that spot, Slay, like me and Zojalyx had tried a couple times beforehand and not being able to do it. And then this man, the first time that he, was in the run with us, just like, oh yeah, I got this, and gets it first try.
And we're like, yeah, you can't do this,
time.
and he's like, I bet.
Yep, I just proved them wrong, and it's one of the greatest things I'll ever do in this game.
Ow. Wait, what? Did I just see that properly? Yep, that did happen. Okay, I'm not delusional. That shield guy hit me, I got staggered, I landed on the ground and immediately stood back up. That has never happened before. No. You can no, you can't make save states. We wish you could make save states, but at least without any sort of external practice tool, there has not been found a way to make save states. There also hasn't really been, so as optimized as this game has become in the last few years with myself, Bloody, and Slade, and then our two French runners running this game, there's still so much more room for anything in terms of optimizations. I think there are a lot of things that we have not yet discovered about this game. And so it is very possible that somebody could come in and discover something that would just blow this game wide open. Because like right now, it's just simply hope and pray that your weapons are good and play game good. Which is both nice and also kind of frustrating, because with any sort of game, when it comes down to, hey, just play the game good, then you're like, okay, can I actually play the game good? And will the game let me play it good? Like with this run, there was one part where it let me play the game good, but since then, it hasn't really been letting me play it good. We've just been relaxing, talking about various parts of the game and just, having some fun.
Also, I do want to say, in regards to them, the other two runners, it is actually Moko1 from the Czech Republic and Lord Brett from France. And I do want to say a special shout out to them, because they were able to, you know, have us learn something and gain us the ability to use and trail properly and push, you know, the game further and to better improve it for co-op. Now, in this section for solo, it's, you know, how I was mentioning earlier about having good aim and the, you know, problem of NPCs dying with the health bar. This is it. It's if you don't actually pay attention, then they will overrun Bruni and Nordy, and you will fail this. This is also by far my favorite part of the run, because this is where, like, hey, one of us needs to use the bathroom, one of us can step out. Unfortunately, in solo, you can't do that.
No. No, you cannot.
So, story-wise here, what Bruni and Nordy are actually trying to do is to destroy Nordenbad. Yes, Gundabad. My bad. Next area is Nordenbad. Destroy Gundabad. The dwarves have been overrun, and they don't want the orcs, the goblins, to take over, and as well as they want to take as many of them as they can with them. So, what better way than to just destroy the place and take as many of them with you as you can. And now you'll be seeing those trolls that we've been struggling with all game. 3 ballista shots. Now, my question though is, why can't we have like a, you know, hand ballistas that we can just take with us? It would made this game so much easier.
Oh my gosh, sub 2 would have been done our first run if we had hand ballistas. Can somebody mod the game where every single arrow is replaced with a ballista shot?
Oh, that would be amazing.
We can call it ballista percent. Imagine Andriel, who's got like how fast?
Oh!
A 5-shot burst.
No, imagine the explosive shot from that.
That's a lot of damage.
That's a lot of damage. Oh man, that'd be so busted.
So this is one of the few auto scrollers in the game. There's nothing that you can do to speed this up, and honestly, you really cannot lose time here. From what we found, you can lose maybe a second to 3 seconds most, or gain a second to 3 second most, and that's just based on your menuing.
Hi, buddy.
That is literally the only thing that you can do is based on your menuing to get through the conversation with Bruni and Nordy and the transitioning to the next level at the end.
Yep. There's still about a minute and a half left in this, so this is probably the most, like, I won't say it's a brain dead part, because you very much have to be alert as to what's happening. Otherwise, like we talked about before, Bruni and Nordry are dead, and then your run is dead, so.
However, it is by far the most boring part of the run. You know, we get to do all these cool tricks, cool fights, and here we're just having fun taking people out with a ballista. Yes, it is a long turret section. I believe it's like 7 minutes long.
Yeah, it's 7 minutes. It's miserably long.
It's almost as bad as kicking ladders in 2 towers.
It is almost as bad, but it is not quite as bad. Because that is 8.5 minutes.
Okay, but hang on. If it was 8.5 minutes of this, or 8.5 minutes of kicking ladders, which one would you want?
8.5 minutes of kicking ladders. I would do this. Well, I would do ladders over this because ladders have at least some variety. This is just how good are you at moving your mouse?
Yeah, but this one's better for me, less brain power.
No, I'm pleased. We'll be happy. Just make your way.
All right,
Anyways.
we are now here in Nordenbad, the Great Dwarf Fortress. We are actually going to be heading from here to Mirkwood,
We were seeking.
where we are going to be seeing the good man Radagast the Brown.
Of course. I doubt
After we get through
maybe we should go.
all of this dialogue.
I have heard it said.
And we cannot.
And I will remind you when going to the shop, please ignore the top option.
And who is
Yes,
Radagast
thank
the
you.
Brown?
It dwells within.
Then we
So
should
the
try.
reason I'm telling him that is because the shop here likes to give you a jewel as a gift. However, we have no use for this jewel. We just want to sell our items. We just want to, buy what we need: new bow, new sword, and arrows and potions. So wasting our time with this gem,
See you on the street. Are you here to buy?
well, it's wasting time. That's all it is. This is a speedrun.
Oh. Okay, any... Wow, nothing? Okay. I'm only buying a full set of armor here because most of my stuff is broken.
See, you'd think dwarves have no need for bows. But that's why we use crossbows. They're not bows.
And I did get that crossbow, which actually is a really good looking crossbow. I think I have to be, what, level 15 before I can use it. And then I do have some elf stones that I'm going to slot in to my axe to give me plus 5 strength and plus 75 crit damage. But now that we have... Normally, I wouldn't have done this big of an equipment overhaul going into Mirkwood, because Mirkwood, there's not much big fear of dying. But we actually are not going to be getting any... we have one more shop before the end of the game. And so, there's a lot that happens. And so I wanted to make sure that I have all the equipment that I need to make it through the next 2 sections of the game. Which first is Wolf Run. This is one of the most annoying fights in the game, because he likes to teleport. He's very mobile.
Yes, which I'll explain that while Zojalyx focuses on the fight. So the problem with Wolf Run is he does a lot of damage, and without blocking a proper moment when he swings those attacks, he will continue just to swing through you. The only way to stop him when he teleports in close is with a perfect timed block that will be a parry. Otherwise, you will have the issue of him just completely hitting you repeatedly. As well as he is constantly teleporting around, making it where you will miss your explosive arrow. And you cannot call for Belaram to help you, because due to thick tree coverage, he's not able to.
How far are we from? We'll
Yeah,
continue the
so one
search.
thing that I'm going to
Very
talk
well.
about, because it hasn't become relevant until now, is elf stones.
I wish
Elf
you
stones are
let us
essentially
elsewhere.
your
Why would Radagast choose to
weapon
make his
modifications
home
that you
such a
can
place?
use
They say that
in
Mirkwood
this
was not
run.
always like this.
And I haven't used them
fair enough
before,
before
but
the
I
shadow of
decided, but I had 3 slots were available for me to use in this axe, so I decided to put in 2 of them that gave me plus 5 strength and plus 75 crit damage, and then I just got an elf stone of fire, so now my axe does fire damage on top of the damage that it already did. making it a much, much stronger axe than what it was
Be
before.
watchful. The wargs have given away our presence.
I don't like this. Keep your eyes open.
No.
Up there, an archer.
It's an ambush.
They seek cover in the undergrowth.
So this is a spot where enemies are going to be coming from behind us and from a little spot in front of us, out of the bushes, right under this tree. I don't know the exact number, but we need to kill a certain number of enemies in order to trigger the enemies to come release us from our little trap circle. So once he has done all of these guys in this area and gets through a good chunk of them, there will be a nice little group of enemies that comes at the tree and will bust it open so that he can continue to move forward. Now, one of the things that we haven't explained is a lot about the enemies here. So the sledgy boys, or hammer bros as we like to call them, are knockback immune whenever you're trying to hit them, and will continue to swing down upon you unless you hit them with a crit that puts you into hero mode. And they're very resilient and do a ton of damage and will knock you flat on your rear, making it a nuisance that, if you are not fast enough, will lose you continued time throughout the run because you face them for a good chunk of the run.
Yep.
A troll! Be careful!
Wait, there's something of mine already breaking. Oh, what's breaking of mine? Oh, my boots. Okay. My boots with the fur and not the apple bottom jeans.
Beware! Spiders!
Alright, so for this section, I'm going to be doing something very specific. I'm going to be taking the spiders, and I'm going to be trying to keep everybody grouped up. Which, I don't know how it's going to go here, because Andriel, I don't think is... Whoa, what? What? He webbed me. They can web you?
Yes.
Apparently.
I've never been webbed before now.
It always happens to me. But yes, the big spiders can web you and will drag you towards them.
I didn't realize that the spiders were similar to smokers in Left 4 Dead. But anyways, how I'm going to be handling this fight is by trying to keep the spiders grouped up around my party, so that way I can just do an explosive arrow and take them all out. Because these baby spiders die really, really quickly.
Also, one of the people asking a question is, what creature is the most powerful evil being in Lord of the Rings?
That would be the Dark Lord Melkor or the Dark Lord Morgoth.
I was gonna say Morgoth. I'm like, I think I know this one.
Essentially, Morgoth is a god. He was a god created by the one god of Middle-earth, Eru Iluvatar. And when Iluvatar was creating the world of Arda, which is essentially the planet that Middle-earth is, Middle-earth is not a planet, it is merely a continent within the planet of Arda. It was created through the song of the...
We must be nearing Radagast's home.
Enemy archers on the high ground.
Oh, you're saying a creature? Like, oh, not God, so Morgoth doesn't count? Then that would be, yeah,
You're saying
Ungoliant.
Needs more time.
That would be the most powerful evil creature, the one who ate the 2 trees. Worked with Morgoth to kill the 2 trees of Valinor.
Here, warm up by me.
Okay, am I the only one seeing a bat symbol whenever you swing that axe around?
I think so.
I need healing.
I need more stamina here. I wouldn't say that Morgoth is weaker than the spider, because it is I mean, it's, maybe I'm knowing my information wrong, but I don't think it's possible for Valar to actually die.
Radagast!
Because Morgoth was never actually killed, he was banished into the void. Because even Sauron wasn't dead after the ring was destroyed. Sauron never truly dies, his spirit just becomes so weak and deformed that it can never really influence somebody more than just essentially haunting them. And Caglion the Black is a solid pick. He was very strong, very powerful. So this is a big spiderwave fight. This is Radagast's home. He likes to live in a tree. Oh, there's a late spawner. That guy's always there.
So the problem with this particular fight is you do have to kill every single spider for each individual wave before the next one will appear. As you can see, a consistent problem that is in this game is enemies wanting to spawn late when we, need to take care of them fast. And for this fight, you can fire explosive arrows up into the top of the tree and get them as they're spawning in groups. But eventually they will come down, even if it's a little bit later than we really want it to be.
Listen, they're all around us.
Yep.
On the hunt for something.
Radagast, perhaps. We must find him before the orcs do.
Go. Oof, unfortunate. Ow. If you're looking at possibly running this game, like if you've been enjoying this, you should join the Lord of the Rings Discord. We have a really awesome community, and as I'm sure many people are probably at least somewhat familiar about, is that the Gollum game is going to be releasing here in sometime in 2023. And with that, the community is going to be hosting an event where after the first month that the game is live, that the game is out, we are going to be spending time routing the game. There's going to be a leaderboard embargo. We're not going to be accepting any runs onto the leaderboard because we have no idea what the game is going to look like. And so we're not going to take just like people's doing a casual playthrough with a timer and calling it a speed run when we don't even know what the game is going to be. So,
and on top of that, we want people to enjoy the game and not feel like they're in a rush to get into the speedrunning mentality for its release. Because one of the things that we as speedrunners have an issue with is we always try to go fast. So if we don't do this, then a lot of people won't actually sit back and just enjoy the game.
Yep. But with us waiting a month, we're going to be hosting at the end of the first month that the game is out a community race So then all of the runners who have been taking some time to create strats and work together, do some early runs and stuff, we're just going to get together, have a big race, and it's going to be an absolute blast because we're just going to be showing off what practice and stuff we've been able to do for the game. And kind of just what is to be expected for it. And yeah, our community for Lord of the Rings is amazing. We've got a couple hundred people, I think, in the Discord, but it's across every single Lord of the Rings game, way back from the days of like the 1980s Lord of the Rings software adventures, all the way up to the most recent Lord of the Rings game that came out, which was Shadow of War.
And also a fun fact about this little area is we actually discovered that you could run through this by accident. So
That
Andrew
we did.
says this voice line here, these webs, yada yada yada, at the end of it, which was how we always knew that we could go to the next area. Well, one of the times we were fighting the spiders because we thought we had to fight through them, and I backed up a little bit too far, and the voice line triggered, and we're like, wait, that means we can go. And so we turned around, we were able to run out.
So this is Sayanathra, probably one of the more annoying boss fights in this game, because she is also very, very, very agile. And when she hits you, she hurts.
As well as she does have a grapple that will take one of the players and pin them to the ground and make you do the equivalent of a quick time event where if you do not mash the button fast enough, you'll just be insta-killed.
Yep, and currently right now, Eridan is grappling with Sayanathra, which actually ended up working out very much in my favor because then she wasn't being active in the fight.
Radagast.
So, with her defeat, we have freed Radagast.
But no, this is turning out. I am just glad.
We seek the drag.
But we have no time.
We were told you. Probably not. Well,
Yeah.
I haven't.
It seems.
You're in luck.
Now we just have to
I
go
knew
and
you would-
finish talking to Radagast, and he's going to send us over to the other region where all runs go to die, and that is the Grey Mountains. And the reason that the Grey... Oh, go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
And the reason that the
very
Grey
close.
Mountains is
It is
where
best you proceed.
runs go to die as well
I hope
is
so.
because there's a lot of enemies and there's a lot that can go wrong
Are less formidable than legend makes them.
in this section because enemies are very aggressive and there are these evil wizards that when they shoot you, basically they give you a debuff that prevents your armor from, essentially reduces your armor down to 0. And then these like Viking-like guys also like to just smack the crap out of you, which is not the most
These are
fun
some
thing in the
remnant
world
of the men
either.
who served the Witch King long
And
ago.
as I was going to say, is the reason that this is the area that runs go to die is also because it's much like before, where you have enemies that you don't need to deal with interfering when you are trying to take care of enemies that you actually do have to worry about, and it becoming overwhelming in number to where you have to attempt to take them all out at once. Also, since Zojalyx has not gone over it, I will elaborate on what we are doing on the skills tree on the left-hand side. So we have gotten our Warcry ability, which gives us in the ability to not get knocked down and makes us take less damage. Well, upon its upgrade, you have one of them that makes it where you take even less damage. As well as you have the one that is probably my favorite, and it's just your abilities have better cooldowns. And there's going to be one that he will be getting that makes it where all enemies will aggro you, but you do increase damage, and so do all of your allies to enemies around you, which will be beneficial once we get into the later stages. But the reason that we haven't taken that one really is because of having cooldown is by far the most important thing. Being able to continually spam our war cry, being able to use our explosive shot, being able to use our spin to win ability. They may not seem like much, but giving them, I believe, is a 16% cooldown is extremely helpful.
Yeah, it's a
These
pretty
must be the men
crazy amount for
Agandar left to
cooldowns.
await the dragon's answer.
They must be bold to camp on the dragon's doorstep like this.
So this is not the hardest area of the sets of them, but this is another area where you have enemies that you don't need to worry about and enemies you do. So all the enemies up here on the bridge are essential for moving forward. All the ones under the bridge are not. So you have a wizard up here, you have tons of hammer bros, tons of shield guys, and a couple archers all shooting at you at once. And they are able to stun lock you if you are not quick, persistent, and annoying enough to them. And because getting rammed by the shield guy, getting knocked on your back, the second you get up, you get hit with a hammer bro, it can get stressful because your health quickly drops. And so far, Zojalyx has been doing good at keeping his health potions. His mana potions are a little bit low, and you might be thinking, a little low? It's like, yeah, because of how much Farin uses for his explosive shots, getting into the end of the run, it can be stressful because in the solo run, you have a surprisingly high chance of running out of potions. Even with having 30, which is very good, since you are going to be using all of your abilities off cooldown, it makes it where you can run out and not be able to use them for the Agandar fight or for any of the hordes that you need your explosive arrow on. So, as we said earlier in the game, resource management is essential.
Where did you come from?
Needs more time.
Oh, nice. He was past the barrier, so all of that attack did nothing.
And as for the release year of the game came out November 1st of 2011. So,
Ow.
the game came out, 12 years ago. Well, not quite 12, but you get the point.
Take cover within this sphere.
Now, Zoj is going to be running through a lot of enemies here because they are non-essential. However, the big problem here is you see how he just got hit in the back with that shield bro? Well, not shield bro, but Hammer Bro. We only care about the enemies on the other side of the bridge here. Anyone behind us doesn't matter, but they're still going to follow us.
Yeah, and when you get hit, whenever you get knocked down, enemies like de-aggro off of you for a little bit, which is like, it's not terrible, but like when you're trying to keep enemies close together so that way you can, you know, hit them with your abilities, if they de-aggro off of you, then they're away from the group. And it does make that a little bit more difficult.
Which right now it actually seems like Aridin and Andriel are back across the bridge and keeping all of them at bay for him.
Yeah, they did their job. So that fight was significantly less painful than it normally is.
We can start doing that in our 3-player co-op.
As we should.
Mm-hmm. So now we're just on a breakneck sprint to the boss for this area, which is the Karndoom Captain, which is essentially another version of Wolfrun. We have to fight him again after we get through this cave.
However, the main difference between him and Wolfrun is we can actually use Belaram. We can ask our friend to actually assist us. Now, the downside is, because he is still teleporting like mad and trying to, you know, be slippery and evasive, if we mistime it, he can teleport as Velaram's coming down to swipe at him, and it will just waste our Great Feather.
Which is then just sad.
However, we'll start that fight off with a good, strong Great Feather and 2 explosive shots, and you can see he's already at half health, but you get close to this man, and he slaps hard, doing more damage than Wolfrun by a substantial amount. Also, even though he literally didn't even teleport, sometimes Belaram just misses. Yeah, how fast he's moving, because he just has that movement.
Not that one. Oh my goodness, that menu was very flubbed. I'm stuck on a rock. And now we're just gonna be talking to a dragon. Nothing too crazy.
Oh yeah, it's just not relevant that we're talking to the dragon, talking about how, hey, don't kill us. We're gonna go take out Agendour. That you've kind of made a deal with him and you're like on his side, but we're gonna go in this man's whole career, and you can have his entire base. If you just leave us alone for about 20 more minutes at most.
I wondered indeed.
So,
oh, go ahead.
oh, okay. Well, from here we are back in Nordenbad. You know, we are getting sieged and attacked by all of the Uruks, the goblins, and much more, as they have unleashed a full-scale siege and assault on the Dwarven home.
The way
And
that
they're-
one guy just ragdolled when I hit him was really funny.
Oh, I love the ragdoll physics in this game. But first wave is going to be going down here shortly. Unfortunately, he will get a teeterer, but we have the time to run down there and give him a good old schmack. But we'll lose a little bit of time since you won't get back up just fast enough for these towers to spawn. Missing one shot, but from here we're going to get back on our trusty friend, the ballistas, and there is enemies spawning from the good old towers that we all know and love from back in the day for Lord of the Rings, where they will bring up the enemies directly to us. Well, we have a giant crossbow with explosive bolts, so we're just going to blow it up. We're going to unleash all of our arrows into it and send them back to whence they came. So every single time, first round it'll spawn on the left, second round it'll spawn on the right, and then this round right here, it will spawn on two on each side. So if you cannot get it done quickly, you do have to worry about the ones coming up the ramp at you, since you will get people hitting you in the back as well.
And this is a nice benefit for co-op because you can put one player on a siege, 2 players on the crossbows, 1 player dealing with these guys.
Yeah, and also because even just having the second player, you don't even have to have the third as much, because with 2 players you can take out both the all 4 towers without really having to worry about any enemies getting up behind you regardless. Also, you know how just a short while ago I mentioned that 30 potions was not the best? Well, as you can see, Zojalyx is already down, sitting at 17 potions, and is going to be using more. And we're in the last 2 areas of the game. We only have Norimbad and Karn Doom left.
Oh wait, this is sappers. I don't want to be down here.
So, as he just mentioned, sappers. There's going to be swarms of our good old boys, the explosive goblins, the sappers, coming from all sides. They'll start out right, then left, then both. And one of the great things is why we continually use our bow is because, unlike earlier where going and giving them a hug is better, we just want them to blow up. And because they'll blow up any allies around them as well. And also, we don't have to worry about conserving arrows, because the sappers actually drop and return us arrows. So you'll notice that Zojalyx here is trying to use his explosive shot, not at all, since they blow up anyways. That way he can save as much as he can for Karn Doom and for the later fights here at Norimbad.
So too, this is where I don't know if Bloody does this as well, but this is where I actually hybrid control, and I move around with my control stick, but I actually am aiming and shooting with my mouse.
So, I do not, because I don't like the feel of it. But unfortunately, you can see that health bar on the inner door, and if one of the trolls gets up there, they will knock that health bar down very quickly. That's why you see Zojalyx trying to track this guy down and make sure that he cannot troll us. He cannot, you know, make it where our run is ended prematurely, per se. Obviously, we'd still continue to complete it, but it would be one of those things where in a normal run it's a killer. And finally, our last enemy of this area, well, group of enemies, is our Orc Champion. Another Thorzog wannabe, except he's actually better than Thorzog. He's actually better than all the rest of them. but not by much. Not enough to where, you know, he's going to win this fight, but enough where he hits you once and you're practically a goner yourself. And so this is one that you have to be very careful on and try and keep your distance on. And there is a way that he can sometimes get stuck in the doorway to where you don't even have to come up and fight him. You can just keep shooting him and getting easy headshots with your bow. However, when you're not that lucky today. And with that, we have defended Nordenbod.
And we've hit level 18, so we probably will not be leveling up at all throughout the rest of this run.
We will only get one level. We will only get one more level, and it's literally right before we enter into the Agendour fight, and we don't always get that level. So it's one of those ones where sometimes we get it, sometimes we don't, and sometimes it's not even worth doing the upgrade to get the level for the time that it takes. Because of how close it is to the end of the game.
I have already ordered. But what of Urga?
Yes, but Agon.
But we are...
Such a trick. Well, so I can spare. Parting with them would.
Remember, second option.
Are you here to buy something?
And since we're going into the very last area of the game, we're doing one last shop just to get a better bow. And potentially find a better sword or anything else. And buy a few potions. Which Zojalyx will get a much better bow here. It now ranging between 600 and 700. Which is one of the best bows that he could possibly have. And it gives him a plus extreme. So that's a very good choice. Now, our heart goes out for anyone here, because our friend Belaram, well, he's not dead yet, but he's severely injured.
He's just very, very injured.
Yes.
Not long.
And during that fight, they had launched a catapult up at him and had taken out two of his great eagle friends. And had severely wounded and taken him out of the fight. He lived because he was not the one primarily hit, but he's not good. He is on his last legs for all intents and purposes. And so he tells us to finish things with Agendour ourselves, and that he will be left behind. And now we're in Cardoon, and one of the most fun things we get to do is we get to do the shuffle. To the right!
Is this?
To the left. Take it back now, y'all.
No, this is the cha-cha slide.
Yes, to the right. To the left.
Yeah.
Take it around to the left. To the right now. And around to the right.
Foulness may work in our favor.
Around to the left.
Will probably be lightly guarded.
Now, y'all. One up this
And-
time.
One up this time. Around to the right. To the left. To the right. And now we go around to the right to pull us a nice big old lever. Why, you are correct, Farron. There is a lever to raise the gate.
Did I run right past it?
Keep going.
Wait. Oh my gosh, I went so brain dead there for a second.
There's a lever over here.
So, from here, we will be rolling our way past a lot of the enemies. And we are in the final stretches of the run.
Yeah, there's really only about 5 minutes left in the run. So if you guys enjoyed this run and you want to watch more, follow me on Twitch, follow my commentators on Twitch, Bloody Lifetime and the Spectacular Slade. We will be running this game co-op more. I'm just kind of getting through this little few event stretch that I have going on. And yeah, so you guys will definitely want to be a part of that and hanging out with us, as well as join the Lord of the Rings Discord.
So in this fight, there is a ton of enemies around Zojalyx here, and we don't care about any of them. We only care about 2. And if you can guess what 2 it is, it might be because they're the biggest ones on the screen. We only care about these 2 trolls. We take them out and we can move on, and we don't care if they teeter, we don't care if they go down outright or not. We just need them gone. So ignoring the one because it was teetering in order to put all of our DPS and output into the other. As you can see, the trolls don't really care who they hit. They don't care if it's you. They don't care if it's allies. They just want to smack someone. And,
oh my gosh, this hammer
I feel that on a spiritual level some days. So, with the 2 trolls down, what was originally here was a little barrier is now gone. And so we're able to keep moving. There is going to be 2 little sorcerers up here shooting down at Zojalyx that will sometimes drop down after the fact and just be annoying. But they can typically run past them and not have to waste any mana, explosive shots, or anything on them. However, these fine guys will drop down behind us and be a bit of a nuisance. So we are right at the top of this hill. Like, you can see the low zone right up there at the top, right next to all those guys, is actually where you go to get to the final boss fight. Is right up here at the top. And that is our good pal Agendour that we've came all this way to fight. Well, all these enemies are standing in our way, and instead of them just, forming a nice convenient filed line in front of us, they like to jump the line and come in behind us to try and fight us. So we'll take care of them and then continue to push forward.
Wow, that guy had to take one more final twitch before he died.
So here, even though we told him to stay at home because he's hurt, Belaram is here. It's like, look, buddy, you've helped us the whole way. You're our new best friend. But go home! We don't want to see you die.
Yep. We're just like, stay out of this fight. And in some cases, he stays out of the fight.
So, the party has officially started its fight with Agendour. So, popping our abilities, making yourself the focus of the fight, which Farron is very good at. That way he can go and tank him and not instantly die. We get him to half in the first phase, and he decides, you know what? I'm good, man. I'm just going to summon a troll on you, and because I don't feel like dealing with this right now. Well, the problem with Agendour's great plan is the troll's kind of weak. Kinda just gets slapped around and dies very quickly, and with actually hitting the troll in the back there, Zojalyx actually skipped a death kill that he normally would have to do. So typically whenever that troll goes down, it will force you to execute him if you don't kill him from behind. So if anyone kills him with an arrow, with an attack, or anything like that from the front, it will force you to execute him. It's a pretty long animation. It takes like 10 seconds to do it. So now we're in the final phase, and I'll let Slade take over from here.
I'm gonna take over from here. So during this, there's a certain part during this second phase where you can hear Belaram say, "Death would be an acceptable means if it meant an end to Agendour." That one voice cue means that we are now allowed to use Belaram in the fight. However, there is a little soft lock glitch that happens. So yeah, that thing right there. That means we're allowed to use Belaram. However, we're not going to use Belaram because it initiates a cutscene. And if you skip that, that'll just soft lock the game right there. But for some reason, when we do co-op, and I use Belaram, we can skip the cutscene, and Agendour is still
Also,
there, and we're still able to actually
get ready
do that.
for time here. Whenever Agendour dies, Zojalyx will call time.
Yep.
But yeah, for some odd reason, whenever the three of us are in there and I do it, it works. No idea why, but it does.
Time. So, there we go. That was The Lord of the Rings, The War in the North, an 8% new game.
With a time of 2 hours, 18 minutes, and 1 second.
Okay.
So,
I had a
with
2:17:57 on my end. But yeah, that was honestly not a terrible run considering the shenanigans that happened. I went from being a minute and 40 behind to almost a minute ahead coming out of Rivendell, so gives you guys an idea of the amount of time save that is available in this run. I had plenty of gold splits. Yeah, I just want to say thank you guys to Questing for Glory for letting me show this run off. I've submitted, this is the first time I've been able to run for Questing for Glory, and I've submitted a few times, and now I finally got to show a run off. So I'm very, very happy with how it went, very thankful for the ability to show off a run that's very near and dear to my heart because of how much time we've put into it. Thank you to Bloody and Slade for joining me here on commentary. Made it a lot better, a lot more enjoyable. Solo commentating this run, I feel like would not be the most fun thing in the world.
Like a great weight has been lifted from my heart.
Oh, by the way, Frodo's destroyed the ring. Yeah, the movies are over.
The ring has been destroyed.
But anyways, again, shout out to Questing for Glory. You guys have put on an awesome event. It's been super cool to be a part of and to have it on while I've been working and doing just other stuff in my own life. Shout outs to the rest of the Lord of the Rings community. 7 Swag Muffin 7, Rylan Hand, Hey It's Rycon, Aogrim, Smelly Socks, Shinboy, Hotshot Wire, Crixium, all of those guys. Awesome people. Absolutely love you guys. Excuse me. Shout outs to my speedrunning marathon home at Midwest Speedfest, as well as at Speedruns for Real Hope. That's a marathon organization that I run and am the head organizer for. Our submissions will be opening in June for our August event. So, or actually, no, it'll be opening in May for our August event. So, yeah, there's that. Also, guys, try to think of anything else. Yeah, if you enjoyed, watch. If you enjoyed this run, try it out for yourself. It's a super fun run. It is a great first speed game because it's just simply play the game, play it fast, and give yourself a crap ton of money. Yeah, boys, do you have anything else you guys would like to say?
Nope.
I just want to say thank you for having us, and thank you for Zojalyx for getting to show off the run for y'all.
Yeah, what he said.
Awesome. So I hope you guys enjoy the rest of the event. There's still plenty of speedruns that are going to be happening after this run. So I hope you guys enjoy the rest of the event, and I will hopefully be seeing you guys at another Questing for Glory event.